how and why USA helped with this tariff coup? Well, Korea didn't ratify the Manta-based deal, so USA first had to withdraw the territory, and the Congress approved this budget of 2,000 million to help democracy in Venezuela and Ecuador, so it was kind of sponsored.
During Somoza's cruel dictatorship in Nicaragua, at least 50,000 people were dead or had suffered an incident made by the National Guard. Even this, he was an ally of the United States. Given the cruel regime, Sandinistas revolutionaries stood up and fought until Somoza was defeated and they took power. At first, Sandinistas were supported by most of the people, but as the time passed, many opposition elements started to appear, including the Contras. The Contras were composed by former members of the National Guard, and they were economic and military support by Ronald Reagan and the CIA because they said that Sandinistas were influenced by communism because of the welfare reforms they wanted to implement. Even when the U.S. administration passed Bullen Amendment, Oliver North and the National Security Council continued giving Contra support. After that, the Iran-Contra Affair scandal took place. The war against Contras affected the Nicaragua structure as well as social welfare plans and the economy. In June of 1986, the International Court of Justice condemned the U.S. for his intervention activities and was forced to repair the damage caused to Nicaragua.
During Maria Estela Martinez de Perón presidency, there was an attempt to nationalize policies such as the gas station, which affected important U.S. businesses. The International Monetary Fund and the American Bank retained credits for Argentina that had already been approved, until suffocating it financially, prior to announced coup d'etat.
Brazil tried to liberalize imports and seek diversification, but these changes provoked American resistance, which was manifested through economic pressures and maneuvers of 1962. The economy reduced its growth rate, ending in 1963 in a recession accompanied by an increased inflation. The political crisis is accentuated and culminated in 1968. The struggles in Brazil for big industrial and financial capital to impose its policy on the bourgeois, the middle class and the working masses led to a second coup d'etat. As a conclusion, according to the hypothesis, internal factors of Latin America countries worked side by side with attempts or coup d'etat influenced by the United States. The American government goal was to implement the neoliberal model in this region. Latin America is a vulnerable region looking for development. Unfortunately, at looking to reach for a stable development, it has fallen under the control of the United States. As soon as any country in this region decides to start to open their way individually, in one way or another, if this decision goes against United States interest, there is a social, economic, or political imbalance that trigger a much bigger problem, driving the country to a crisis.